With teasers of a possible fight featuring Wolverine and Hulk, Deadpool and Wolverine are trying to hype us up. The film is set to feature some of the significant characters from the past, and some that never actually came to fruition. We're talking about the Channing Tatum movie Gambit. However, the spotlight's on the rivalry between Wolverine and Sabretooth. Over the years, we've seen numerous versions of this fight, and the two have not given up. It only makes sense, considering the comic books always had some of the most ruthless battles regarding these two characters. Let's look at all the Wolverine and Sabretooth fight sequences in the movie so far. And by the way, these fights include some other unforgettable characters in cameos. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. First encounter. The year was 2000, and the world witnessed the X-Men for the first time in live action as the fantastic cast of the characters appeared on the screen. Rogue, played by Anna Paquin, meets Hugh Jackman's Wolverine at a bar, and she somehow manages to convince him to drop her somewhere. As they're on their way, Wolverine hits a tree, is launched off the vehicle to the front, and injures himself. When he gets up, we see his healing powers at work as the wound on his head slowly disappears. He walks toward the vehicle, but he smells the presence of someone else there and releases his claws. Suddenly, Sabretooth, played by professional wrestler Tyler Mane, leaps out of the woods and pounces at him. Wolverine gets up and goes to fight him, but this time, Sabretooth uses a tree trunk to hit him like a bat, and he ends up landing on the front of the vehicle, completely knocked out. As Sabretooth is about to go in for his next move, Cyclops and Storm arrive on the scene, and Storm uses her powers to stop Sabretooth while Cyclops tries to hit him with the lasers. Sabretooth gets away and manages to escape while the two X-Men go in and rescue Wolverine and Rogue. Later, we find that Magneto sent Sabretooth, and his primary objective was to grab hold of Rogue so that he could use her for his plans. Magneto is disappointed in his failure, but we know he won't be stopped easily the next time he comes across Wolverine or a chance to take Rogue. Meanwhile, Wolverine wakes up at the Xavier School for the Gifted as Jean Grey works on him. Thus, Wolverine joins the group of mutants and prepares for his first mission against Magneto's team of mutants and his goals against humanity. The first interaction with Sabretooth was simple, with Sabretooth beating Wolverine up neatly. Still, we have to say that Wolverine was recovering from an accident that would have killed an ordinary human being. The fact that he manages to pick up on the scent of Sabretooth due to the history they share is something we'll explore soon enough. Sabretooth also manages to get hold of Wolverine's dog tags before he escapes the scene and goes to Magneto to report his failure at capturing the mutant. Wolverine's revenge. Over the next few minutes, we witness a wide variety of mutants, and Xavier's intentions are made clear to Wolverine as he gains some trust in these people. But still, there's no solid trust here, as Wolverine considers himself a Lone Ranger. While all this is happening, Mystique pops up and she ends up proving why she's probably the most dangerous mutant with her shape-shifting abilities, as she manages to infiltrate the Institute, confuse Rogue, and force her to leave the campus disguised as Bobby Drake. Wolverine decides to follow her personally while Storm and Cyclops plan their rescue mission for her. Even though Wolverine manages to reach her in time, Magneto won't let this chance go, and he grabs hold of her, throwing away Wolverine, whose adamantium body was easily controlled by him. Finally, as Magneto manages to take Rogue with him, the last piece of his plan is solved. He goes through the plan of mutating everyone in the country. The X-Men decide to spring into action, with Wolverine donning his suit for the first time. And yeah, we get to see our second fight between Wolverine and Sabretooth. When the team reaches the Statue of Liberty to stop Wolverine, they face off against Magneto's team, who stand like a problem at first. Still, eventually, Magneto manages to overpower and restrain them. As Sabretooth stands guard over them, Wolverine manages to get out of the restraint and pops his claws to pounce right on Sabretooth and stab him in the stomach. But Sabretooth and Wolverine have a lot of things in common, including the healing factor. Finally, the battle takes to the top of the statue's head as the two go against each other with everything they have. Wolverine manages to take back his dog tags before Sabretooth tries to push him off the statue, but Wolverine clings using the blades and strikes back at the beastly mutant. Finally, when Sabretooth thinks he's been successful in putting him down, Wolverine again manages to pop up and hit him back. Finally, Cyclops uses his laser to blast off Sabretooth through the statue and ends up crashing on a boat. Yeah, Wolverine proves that years of not going against mutants haven't weakened him, as now he has a motive. During his fight against Sabretooth, he hears Rogue in pain and realizes that he has to defeat and save her before Magneto succeeds in his plans. Without Wolverine, we wouldn't have seen the X-Men succeed against Magneto and his mutants. He can't be killed. 2009's Hulk vs. Wolverine is probably amongst the best of the Marvel animated features, as it gave us one of the most amazing arcs from the comic books, as Wolverine was pitted against the green monster. As Wolverine is hired to investigate the case of the Hulk, he gets dropped at the location where the Hulk was last seen based on a crater on the ground. As he approaches the area, he comes across a completely distraught Bruce Banner. Sticking to Wolverine's tendencies, he infuriates the individual, hence waking up the Hulk. The two go against each other in a brutal battle, and Wolverine realizes it won't be easy. They fight like crazy and take pauses where Wolverine recovers and jumps at Hulk again until Team X arrives and captures them using tranquilizer darts. The Professor had been trying to capture the Hulk for a while, and Wolverine's move helped Team X capture him. Apart from the Professor, Team X consisted of Deadpool, Omega Red, Lady Deathstrike, and last but not least, Sabretooth. Team X had issues with Wolverine over the fact that he'd betrayed them, and they wanted to clear their scores with Wolverine once and for all. As the Professor reveals his intentions with Hulk, Team X tortures Wolverine, and we know they want him dead. But the mere idea of killing Wolverine overbears them, and Sabretooth ends up killing the Professor to kill Wolverine and get things done. Wolverine manages to escape his captivity and pounces at Lady Deathstrike and Sabretooth. As Sabretooth strikes at him, it seems that the years of torture Wolverine had faced as Weapon X had taken hold of him, and he manages to put down Sabretooth quite easily. Meanwhile, Lady Deathstrike, who had some real issues with Wolverine, gets her arms cut off by Wolverine as he puts her down. Wolverine heads for Bruce Banner, who was also held captive in one of the tanks, and manages to free him and escape with him. But not for long, considering Team X was still active, and they wouldn't let Wolverine escape this quickly. At least not with Hulk. Team X versus Wolverine. Team X manages to stop him on his way as Wolverine plans to escape the facility with Bruce Banner. Wolverine tries to prevent Banner from turning into the Green Horror again, but would he be able to? Considering the entire Team X was planning on killing Wolverine, his only hope of escaping the present circumstance. Sabretooth goes straight toward Wolverine. The two get into a battle using their claws, but this Sabretooth is comparatively weaker as he gets put down very quickly compared to other showdowns we've seen between Wolverine and Sabretooth. However, the fact that he's not alone significantly benefits him because Lady Deathstrike, who had recovered from a previous experience with Wolverine, jumps in for the attack. At the same time, Deadpool and Omega Red await their chance. Wolverine chops Deadpool's hand off while kicking off the other clawed mutants, but as Sabretooth unleashes his wrath, Wolverine gets pushed back and Omega Red picks him up and shocks him. During this entire situation, Banner had been trying hard to stay human, but the shock proved too much and he ended up turning into Hulk and saying something we'd all been wanting to hear for quite a while now. Hulk smash, claw people. Hulk goes in and launches straight towards Sabretooth and kicks him off miles off the facility. But then Bruce was in one of those stages where he had no control over Hulk, so he continued his battle with Wolverine. Yeah, Wolverine, Hulk, Sabretooth and Deadpool appear together in this animated feature film. I wonder if we'll ever witness this in a live-action interpretation. Sibling rivalry? Even though we've yet to get a hint of this detail in the previous X-Men films, X-Men Origins Wolverine details how Wolverine and Sabretooth have a shared history. The two were half-brothers, with Victor being the older one, and the two had run away from home at a young age, as James, whom we'd come to know as Logan or Wolverine, had accidentally killed his father in a fit of rage. While James was remorseful about what he'd done, his brother Victor, also known as Sabretooth, joined him as they escaped into the woods. Eventually, the two would grow up and fight through various wars, including the Civil War from Lincoln's side and the World Wars. Eventually, they'd join hands with Major William Stryker after they were caught during their brutal murderous rampage during the Vietnam War. Stryker offered them a chance to join his team of mutants known as Team X, which included Wade Wilson, Agent Zero, Chris Bradley, Fred Dukes, and John Wraith. They'd go on several covert missions where they could put their mutations to use, and eventually they'd go on a mission where Wolverine had to stop himself. So, all this time, it becomes clear that Wolverine is in control of his powers while Sabretooth is brutal, and once he's on a bloodthirsty rampage, it becomes too difficult to stop him. During one of Stryker's missions to acquire a mysterious meteorite, which had turned out to be adamantium, the team would hold an entire village hostage for finding the source of the meteorite. But when the villagers held back on the information, Stryker ordered his squad to kill them, which turned into absolute chaos as they started killing everyone. Eventually, the team jumped into killing people in a nearby village, and that's when Wolverine stopped himself. James tries to stop Victor, but realizes he's gone too deep into it. Finally, James clarifies that he'll leave the team after looking at how brutal Stryker's intentions could be for some innocent civilians. Following Wolverine's departure, Team X was disbanded, but the Sabretooth and Wolverine fight we'd been waiting for was around the corner all this time. 7 years after this event, Sabretooth goes down to hunt and kill all the Team X members with the plan to extract their DNA. while the others were killed without any other sort of torture. Stryker, who had hired Sabretooth, had a different plan for James, but was now known as Logan. Logan had made a good life with a job and a woman he loved, Kayla. But one day, as he's working, he can sense something's wrong, along with a familiar scent. As he decides to investigate, he finds that Kayla is dead and realizes that it could only be the work of Victor. Later that day, Logan finds Victor at a bar, and when Logan confronts him about Kayla's murder, Victor states that it was to get Logan's attention. The two jump into a fight, and as they lunge against each other, Victor manages to land several blows on Logan. Now, Logan had had his time away from the war and the fights, and it had probably made him go a bit softer, along with the fact that he was in a fit of rage. So, Victor manages to defeat him quite quickly, and in the end, he breaks Logan's bone claws on the left hand. And this starts a fight that'll continue till the end of this film. Second chance. Now, Logan fell into the trap, and the only benefit the trap had for him was the adamantium blades that it ended up giving him. These adamantium blades proved to be a solid addition to his abilities, thus he was ready to take on Sabretooth compared to the last time. But upon realizing that Stryker had plans to turn him into a weapon, he left the Weapon X project and ran away while facing the rest of Stryker's men who intended to hunt him down. So, to learn more about Stryker's plans and intentions with using Sabretooth, he teams up with John Wraith and looks for Gambit. Now, while trying to talk to Gambit, John Wraith is killed by Sabretooth, and he manages to take his DNA. Right then, Logan is launched out of the building, and Gambit attacks him, assuming he's working for Stryker. Logan knocks out Gambit and goes straight towards Sabretooth to kill him. Logan had the upper hand on him with the adamantium blades and almost killed him until Gambit attacked him, allowing Victor to escape. It was a matter of a few minutes, but then Gambit had to intervene, but Logan would get a chance to finish this fight.
Nobody kills you but me.
Nobody kills you but me. Logan takes Gambit's help and lands on Stryker Island, where he gets news that shakes him up entirely before he can fight with Victor. Victor had a difficult time too, as he found out he couldn't bond with the adamantium because his healing factor was less intense than Logan's. So this time, when they faced off against each other, the two had more reason to prove that they could defeat the other. Logan goes into a rampage against Victor until he defeats him and pins him down, ready to decapitate him. But Kayla manages to calm him down, and he prevents himself from going into the animalistic instincts that were more of Victor's thing than his, even though Victor didn't hold back from giving his taunts. But then Weapon 11 is released by Stryker, and Logan is made his primary target. Logan might have adamantium, but Weapon 11 was a mixture of all the powers we'd seen so far, based on the DNA that Stryker had acquired, thus making him a killing machine. Logan manages to climb up on the nuclear cooling towers as Weapon 11 hunts for him, but surprisingly, Victor comes to his help to fight Weapon 11. As he helps Logan climb the building, he tells him, "Nobody kills you but me." Now we jump into complete badassery as Logan and Victor go against Weapon 11, who use all their powers to fight against them by teleporting on both sides and attacking them simultaneously. Now, Weapon 11 manages to hurl himself at Logan, who gets pushed to the side of the tower, and then he goes on to kill Victor. But Logan manages to climb back, and right when Weapon 11 is going to target its optic blast on Victor's head to kill him, Logan chops his head off. As his head falls off inside the cooling tower, the laser destroys the building, and Logan and Victor climb out of the hole. But this had marked the end of their relationship, as Logan would tell Victor they were done with each other. Yep, this marked a weird but pretty cool ending to the brotherly relationship, which did have some fierce moments at times. Ready to die? You thought that was the last we'd see of the fight between Wolverine and his greatest enemy? Deadpool and Wolverine promises many things, and one of the major things it promises is delivering fans with some of the best fight sequences we've seen over the years, as it brings back the characters from Marvel and Fox Studios history. One of the latest trailers shows that Sabretooth, the Tyler Mane version, who was rumored to make a comeback in the movie, is seen before a face-off against Wolverine. But weirdly, Deadpool mentions that people have waited decades for this fight, which indicates that he hasn't seen any of the Fox films so far, or maybe it's just his pure ignorance towards X-Men Origins Wolverine. Whatever it may be, we aren't surprised that this battle won't be ordinary, because it'll feature some of Marvel's major heavyweights. Now, it might not feature Gambit or Hulk coming together or something like that, or would it? We can never tell. But considering Tyler Mane will be back, we can wonder if the duo would at least remember their shared history, even though both had a terrible enough time after that to forget about it. Maybe Deadpool will let them know about the sibling rivalry. Marvelous verdict. I remember when I first got one of the comic books featuring a fight between Wolverine and Sabretooth. While the comic book was riddled with details on Wolverine's past during the Weapon X project, the fight was the primary action piece, as they threw each other around and tried to look for numerous ways to end it forever by killing each other. But one way or another, they'd survive and the fight would continue. Even though the two have fought quite a few times in the movies, it isn't surprising that the fight would still be considered a significant action piece, as it's of considerable value to both characters. Do they end up killing each other in their latest movie fight, or do they give it a hold with some other developments on their hands? We'll only get to see it in the final film. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.